when you look at Game 6 coming up, Phoenix on that flight, that Southwest flight from Phoenix to Milwaukee, what could they possibly talking about to feel any sense of confidence going into this coronation of Giannis in the Deer District and the Bucks winning their first title in, 50 years?
Here's the reality. Chris Paul didn't play well, and now Milwaukee has gotten to a point where they're playing good enough with we can call it a big three, a semi-three, whatever you'd like to say, where Phoenix has to play well. You need Chris Paul and Booker in the same game. We've seen Chris Paul play well. We've seen Booker play well, but we haven't seen it together. Keep in mind also, Phoenix was in a situation where they get out to a big lead, and then not just they get out to a big lead, they had a chance to close the game out or at least tie it at the end, and they turn over the basketball. So in Game 4, what happens? They get offensive rebounded. They give up the foul line, and then this last game, they turn over the ball down the stretch when they need a bucket. So these are fixable mistakes ultimately at the end of the day, and I thought the boneheaded play was Chris Paul. They're only down one. Chris Paul fouls Giannis and makes the worst play in basketball and gives them an and one with the game on the line. Let them dunk the basketball, or, if you're going to take them out of the air, take them out the air. I don't know, but I think just let the guy dunk it at that point, maybe contest it, but don't give up an and one. So Phoenix they're showing their inexperience at this time. I thought they definitely played hard enough to win. They gave themselves a chance, but, they're going to have to shore up the little things because this isn't the same boneheaded Milwaukee team we're used to playing that's just bigger, stronger, faster. They're actually playing together. And when I say that, I mean the adjustments the Bucks made was just play harder. That's not the adjustment in the NBA Finals. And I thought Bud did a much better job coaching, and the guys bought into the ball movement, and that's something we were seeing from Phoenix earlier on and not from Milwaukee.
Ryan Hollins joins the show, 10-year NBA veteran. Ben Lyons filling in for Rich on the Rich Eisen Show. Ryan Hollins posted me up once in a charity basketball game. Ryan, when you look at the Phoenix Suns and the others, Mikal Bridges had 27 in game number 2, goes for 4 in game number 3, 7 in game number 4. How can the others travel to Milwaukee? Can the Suns get anything out of Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, maybe even an LG Kick sighting? What do they do to get some support from the role players? And why don't role players travel well?
Well, it's all about the stars. And the biggest thing that the road starts to bring out is the hustle points. I mentioned it earlier. The Bucks were plus 17, on the offensive glass. They were minus 17. The Suns, as far as turnovers were concerned, those are the hustle points, the little points. They have to make those efforts, and that's going to be the big difference in the game. So you ask, what do the role players do? Those are the controllables that the role players give. I remember playing with the Boston Celtics, and I'm a role player. My job was to make sure Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, those guys were comfortable. So they've got to defend. They got to dive on the loose balls. They've got to gang rebound. They have to make all those little things so that Chris Paul and Devin Booker can be the best versions of themselves, and especially on the road.
I love the stage of the finals. I love the moments. I love the iconic plays that we get to witness that define legacies. When you look across the court at Chris Paul and how it felt after 2 games, Ryan, this was going to be the coronation of one of your old teammates, one of the great leaders in NBA history, the leaders of the Players Association off the court, just like this celebration of plant-based Chris Paul. I mean, Beyond Meat stock was going up. But now they've lost 3 in a row, and he's had some sloppy finishes, some bad turnovers. Does the narrative around his legacy, around how we view Chris Paul, really change if they are not able to get it done in Milwaukee?
I played with Chris, and I know that's the big monkey on his back is not, getting a championship or making it to the finals. And I think he can only add to his legacy. I'm not among the group that puts him in the top 5, even if he wins the championship. Chris Paul is not a top 5 point guard, in my opinion, but there's nothing but respect on his name, man. When you think of pick and roll, Chris Paul's name is synonymous with pick and roll. And, he's been haunted by some of our playoff losses, obviously, as he should be. I know how hard Chris takes these things, but, he's in a do-or-die situation. We're going to see who Chris is. And I don't think you can fault Chris because he's an undersized guard, to not be able to get his shot off in certain situations. But the turnovers are the ones that are going to haunt him. So I think he's going to come out and play well, man. He's got his back against the wall, and a lot of stars that we know shine in that scenario. And I will credit you with one thing, Ben, and I know you know this as an analyst, as a guy who follows the league. This is very hard to call these finals. You want to know why? Jay Crowder's the only guy with NBA Finals experience, and that was bubble experience. Not to disrespect the Lakers championship, but none of these guys have been in the finals before, so we can't say, hey, man, Devin Booker historically goes off in, Game 6s. We don't know who they are and what they're going to be. So I'm just intrigued to see what Chris Paul is going to look like in his last chance as a star player in the NBA Finals. I think if he comes back, it's going to be as a role player. But his last chance in this big moment, what is it going to look like? If I don't know anything, I know Chris is going to compete, but I'm interested to see what is up his sleeve.
I see a lot of KG and Giannis in terms of the intensity, in terms of the way they lift up their teammates. I remember the footage of game, I think it was 2, when Giannis is talking on the bench to his guys, trying to get them going. How does Giannis make others better? Is it with his actual play on the court, or is it just his aura, his presence, his intensity?
You see a guy given the effort that Giannis gives, you don't have any other excuse other than play hard. We can fault Giannis for the free throws, the 3-ball, maybe lack of consistency in scoring, but you can never lack his effort, man. And he brings it every night. And when you see a guy of his stature, with what he's accomplished, one of the rare 2-time MVPs, one of the rare players to have an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same darn year, you got to give a lot of credit to Giannis Antetokounmpo for what he does, and you got to bring it. And this is your star player diving on the floor. This is your star player who hyperextended the heck out of his knee and then came out and played as if it never happened. You know what I'm saying? A New York Knick hyperextends his knee, and he's out for the entire season. Giannis comes back a couple days later, Nick. So, Ben, you gotta really take your hat off to Giannis, and he's leading by example. And the skill set and all that stuff is starting to come along. He's not quite there yet, but his effort is infectious on the floor, Ben.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.